In Fullmetal Alchemist, how do blood runes really work?
Hark!
Okay. Alphonse Elric's soul is bound to a suit of armor, and therefore Alphonse Elric has become this suit of armor. What if you bound Al's soul to a motor car? Would he be able to control the motor car like he would the suit of armor? Like a literal ghost in the machine situation? What if you bound Al's soul to a giant suit of armor the size of Godzilla? Would he still be able to control it? What if you made two suits of armor and connected them by a single metal rod that you welded to the suits of armor, and you only put the blood rune on one of the suits of armor? Would Al be able to control both of them, or would he just be able to control this one suit? Would the alchemy apply to both suits since they're now the same object? Would Al be able to articulate both suits as if he had two bodies as long as the two suits are conjoined? What if you put the blood rune on the connector rod? Would Al be able to control both suits, or would his soul be confined to just the metal rod and he wouldn't be able to control either of them? We can rule out questions of whether or not the blood rune would work on non-metal objects because metal is required. The soul is held by the life force in the blood, which has iron, which is metal, which binds to the metal in the suit of armor, and ergo, the soul has control over the suit of armor. The three suits of armor with souls in the story, Al, Barry, and the Slicer brothers, each have glowing red eyes. But the younger Slicer brother, who only controls the bottom part of the suit of armor, doesn't get any glowing red eyes. So does a soul bound to a thing only get red eyes if the thing has eyes as part of its design? So if I bound a soul to a metal statue, the eyes of the statue would glow, but if I bound a soul to a waffle iron, there would be no change in the waffle iron's appearance? Is that what you're telling me? Alphonse sees out of his eye holes. He cannot magically look behind him. He has to turn his head to look behind him just like a regular human would. But what if he didn't have eye holes? The younger Slicer brother didn't have a head, so did the younger Slicer brother just see forward and out of his chest? How did the alchemy know to make that his POV? What if you bound a soul to a tuba, or something that bears no humanoid resemblance at all? Where does the soul see out of? Or can we just assume that the direction of the soul's point of view is determined by the direction that the blood rune is facing? Because with all four of the bound souls we know of, their blood runes are on the inside of their back facing forward, so perhaps that determines their perspective. Also, Alphonse is lucky to be bound to a highly articulated object, but what if you bound Al's soul to a bronze statue or something that didn't have movable hinged joints? Would Al still be able to control it like a body, or would he just be able to sit there and look nice? Assuming the sculptor had talent. One possible answer to some of these questions comes from Theosophy, which is an esoteric set of New Age beliefs from around the turn of the century, whose motto was, "There is no religion higher than truth." And a lot of the symbolism from Fullmetal Alchemist is taken directly from Theosophy. And Theosophists believed that the human soul takes the form of an astral body with arms and legs and a head and a face and so forth. So can we speculate that binding souls to suits of armor works, but binding souls to waffle irons doesn't, because a body-shaped soul would inherently reject a waffle iron, but not a suit of armor, which is also body-shaped? Well, maybe, but that doesn't answer the question, because even if the astral body thing is true in Fullmetal Alchemist, we know that a soul can be bound to a non-body-shaped object for at least a little bit, as seen by Barry the Chopper's soul persisting in that metal strip for a short while. And so, even for just that short while before the soul is rejected by the vessel, could it happen with, say, a waffle iron or a tuba or something? And also, don't forget that the elder Slicer brother had nothing but a helmet, and helmets are not necessarily body-shaped. And you can say, well, maybe Big Slicer's astral body shared the whole suit with Little Slicer, even if his control was confined to just the helmet. But, like, we can speculate about that stuff all day long, but we're not gonna find any answers to that in the text of the manga. That stuff is pretty much just up to our headcanons. And I personally think that certain things, like Al's glowing red eyes, or like the elder Slicer brother being bound to a helmet even though a helmet is not necessarily shaped like a full body, those things aren't done in deference to the beliefs of turn-of-the-century Theosophy. They're done because it works in the story, and that's totally fine. Like when Hiromu Arakawa was writing Fullmetal Alchemist, did she give Al glowing red eyes because his astral body manifests itself with glowing red eyes in the body-shaped vessel it's been given? Or was it just to give the character's visual design more humanity? It could very well be both, but I've always presumed it's more, if not entirely, the latter and not so much the former. You know, maybe I could solve these conundrums if I tried human transmutation myself. I guess I know what I'm doing tonight. Hi! I've bound my soul to this chrome velociraptor skeleton using my own alchemy as a toll so that I wouldn't lose any limbs to see the Gate of Truth, the same way Ed did at the end of the story. So it looks like I won't be needing this anymore. There's just, one problem. I'm actually facing away from the camera right now. My point of view is actually out the velociraptor's because that's the only place I could fit the blood rune. Well, that answers that question. The lack of hunger or pain is great and all, but not if I'm consigned to be a raptor booty for the rest of my life. So, I'm gonna go change myself back. Hang on a minute. So how did I pay the toll to get my real body back? Well, the truth accepts Tommy's gift cards. So if you put the blood rune on a snowman, well, that wouldn't be advised because the snowman would melt and you'd die, but before the snowman melts, would it work?